There was a time where I wouldn't buy games that I thought that I had no hope in ever beating. Games like Batman, Castlevania and Ninja Gaiden. I did actually end up beating all of those games to my own surprise. And I'm fairly confident that I will beat Street Fighter 2010 one day as well. If I do, it would easily place within the top 5 hardest games for me. This one sure is a doozy. The first difficulty comes with the controls, which admittedly takes a while to get the hang of. Moving the main character around, Ken in the US version and Kevin in the Japanese version, is responsive but is made a little complicated by the flips he makes and the ability to attach and climb on walls. Attacking is also a mixture of stiff and flexible. Hitting B like normal does a normal punch attack, holding left or right while hitting B does a stronger set of punches, but they're a fair bit slower, so usually I'd rather opt for just rapid firing the normal punch. You can kick diagonally upward by hitting down and B, but the shot or kick comes out in front of Kevin, so you have to have some space between you and the enemy in order for it to hit. You can shoot upward as well as down, but only if you do it in a backflip, and with those you need to be sure that you hit A before the opposite direction you're facing, otherwise it'll be a regular jump. Lastly, you can only shoot once in the air, which forces you to be precise with your attacking. And that is sort of why I can forgive the game for not having an easier way of attacking, like in Contra for instance, the gold standard of 2D action games when it comes to attacking. Street Fighter 2010 takes a while to learn how to attack cleverly, but as it goes on it starts to feel empowering instead, because it leads you to find clever ways of killing the enemies that at first seem impossible to hit. In general, this is simply a very hard game. There are many enemies, hazards, a time limit, and sometimes the stage itself is the big obstacle to your progress. But you can't say it's not varied. I would say for a game that doesn't outright combine gameplay styles, this is one of the most, if not the most varied action game on the Famicom or NES. Every stage has a target, aka a boss. This boss sometimes appears almost immediately like in the first stage, and sometimes at the end like in the second stage. But there's typically also a smaller type of enemy that's more or less there to annoy you while you try to fight the target. The two main examples of these are the homing missiles that just won't leave you alone and spawn indefinitely, or the skeletal fish in the desert stages. When you beat a target, a white smoke ring looking thing appears, and you have to then find the portal and fade in to the next stage. This is strictly timed, so move fast. It's pretty stressful and it's quite possible to not find the portal in time and have to start over again. In between some stages there's a small stage where you either have to just go to the next stage directly, or have to beat some enemies to collect smoke rings to move on. I'm not sure what the point was to adding these exactly. Your attack can be upgraded by breaking these things, kind of like the candles in Castlevania, or various things in Ninja Gaiden. Some of them hold power-ups, of which you need 2 to upgrade. Upgrading means a longer attack range, which helps out a lot actually, but every time you die you lose your upgrades. Luckily the placements aren't random, so once you memorize them you can grab them easily, and there will be plenty of time for you to memorize as you die over and over. Street Fighter 2010 is not a game that you relax with. It's the kind of game where you need absolute concentration, and an elevated heart rate usually follows when playing it. The controls take some time to get used to, and you never quite know what the game might throw at you next, but it's anything but dull, and it gets more and more rewarding as it goes on.